Alrighty, hello guys. This is a tutorial for the props texturing for Juvenate. This is what we will be going over. Just a helmet and a quick little rock. I might split this up. Uh, Fun fact, between the first one being the helmet and the second one being the prop, well, not prop, the rock. And I am a bit sick, so please keep in mind about that while you're watching this video. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. um, so this is basically the sculpt I did in ZBrush. Um, yeah, this is the high poly, and this is the low poly. Yeah, I'm gonna be coughing a lot. Hope you guys are ready for that. um, So keep in mind if you're going about it the ZBrush pipeline, do underscore low, underscore high. Um, Actually that's goes for I think that kind of just goes for like any pipeline with 3D art, with how I'm texturing these things. But yeah, gotta have them lined up, and then you export them as FBXs, just like so. Like let's stick this to like downloads, for instance, and FBX. Save selected, just like so. And they do the same for the underscore high. Gotta keep it separate. And then when you go to Substance Painter, go to your baking. These are my, let me turn these back on. Okay. Whew, apologies. These are my usual baking settings. I like to do 8Ks. I bump up my dilation width all the way and my max rear distance all the way. And my anti-aliasing is 64x, super sampling 64x, and I do by mesh name. With these two being the defaults, 64 because I like getting the best quality, hence why I'm bumping all this all the way up as well. Oh, by the way, when we're in game, we might be converting these to either 1K or 2K texture maps, depending on how optimized we're making everything. Oh, also, we gotta keep the we gotta keep it really low poly, especially for like smaller props like this helmet here. Um, for ambient occlusion, I bump it all the way up in the secondary rays. And I do by mesh name, by mesh name. Curvature, bump it all the way up with secondary rays again. And I do by mesh name as well. Position, I don't do anything for that. Thickness, secondary rays, all the way up. And by mesh name for self occlusion right there. And since I had a little bit of baking issues right here, I also did opacity to get an opacity map baked on. And yeah. So as far as the overall texturing, I like to separate all my stuff via folders and color code them like so. So let's just hide everything. Also, this is all can be on a base roughness layer. And it's auto-saving. That's very fun. But yeah, I'm also doing this without any like practice. So like I'm recording this without practice. So hopefully me not rehearsing this won't really affect much of anything. Yeah, substance can take some time to save. Okay. So what you want to do is you start with a base, right? And I chose a base brown with color being the only thing that's visible. And with that, I kind of just painted like okay. Oh yeah, okay. Now that's just part of the mask. I didn't paint anything. I just slapped that on there, and then I added a mask. This being a ambient occlusion mask that you can just simply go over here, drop it on in. Actually, I can show you guys how to do that real quick. Actually, yeah. So what you do is clear this mask, right? Clear mask. And you're gonna grab your AO map, drag it in there. It's all solid. What? What? You're like, what's going on? Well, what you can do as far as adjusting your AO maps, you can go to your levels and you just add levels right there on the mask. And you just adjust it like so. And then you can go back to your material. Also, I'm tapping C to switch between different channels. I'm also tapping M to go back to material mode. And yeah, that's just a very simple little mask right there. And then I added another ambient occlusion mask to make things a little bit darker. And then I added a moisture noise map. Let's see. Yeah, I think I should have made that noise a noise layer. My apologies for the color coding. But yeah, and then you adjust the levels with that. You also mix it up down here. How you get that? Let me show you. So you're gonna clear this black mask. Let's see, moisture. Oh, you also just put in noise. Show up your noise maps. I used to be a huge fan of using smart materials, but then I ended up learning some cool little pipelines by a texture buddy of mine. He's a very talented character artist. His name is Peter Randall. But yeah, he taught me how to make good use of these noise maps, and I'm going to show you how I make good use of them. So moisture noise, gonna slap that on there. Go to C. This is what the mask looks like. You can adjust the UV like so, or UV tiling. Get super weird funkiness like that, or you can just drag it out like so. Go to M, and basically another thing I like to do is do color variations. That's why these are all like different colors. That's why they're kind of like base mask, like base materials but masked, if that makes sense. And yeah, and the reason why I put the levels right there, so that way I can now change how much I want it to be masked, Of course, you can change that in the actual noise map itself with a balance, but this is a bit more controlled, in my opinion, in certain realms, like so. But yeah, let's try to get back to how it used to look. Okay. This one, let's see. Thickness. Yeah. So this one was used to make this sort of dust looking effect. And this one darkened up some of the dust. So that's much how I got my leather. And for this, so the three main mask, or not mask, but baked textures I like to use is your ambient occlusion mask, or just ambient occlusion bake texture, And I like to use the thickness sometimes to get the nice hard edges, edge wear, if you will. And I like to use curvature as well. I highly recommend that you guys try those three out. They're super useful. Okay, so now we're going to explore the metallic. For this, I just slapped in a base, kind of like a dark gray, around that realm. And then I only left the roughness and metallic on with that as well. Actually, I can just leave that off. And then I adjusted the roughness a little bit. That way it has a little bit of that sheen. So then we're going to explore the mask. Mask 1. Kind of just using the same thing I did for the leathers. Slapped on an ambient occlusion with the levels. Mask 2. Essentially the same thing. Mask 3. Mask 4. This time I slapped on noise using that using the moisture noise that I was talking about earlier. Mask 5, using the thickness. And then mask 6 to get this darkness down here going on. And oh, okay, here's something really cool. So you can also do like height layers. I color code these with yellow. And what that does, let's see here, add a little bit of noise. And how I did that. Let's break this down. Let's just make a whole new material. Not material, but a whole new fill layer. So I go to black mask, put in curvature, or ambient occlusion, or thickness can definitely help with this as well, but curvature was the best one that I could find at the time. Let's see, how did it look in the end? Okay. So to get this, basically, what you do is go to levels, invert that, scooch this back, bring this up a little bit more, make this a little bit more pronounced. White is basically the effect that the mask is having. Let's see. Yeah. And then what you can do after that, go back to M, material, turn off everything but height. What you do now is crank that up, crank it down, depending on the situation. And then you go to filter, blur, then smooth that out. As you can see, gave it some high information, just like so. And maybe blur it just a little bit more, just like that. Okay. And then now you have some weird funkiness going on, like right here. What you can do to fix that is you go to add paints, and what you're going to do now is choose your brush that you want to use for this operation, and you hit X. X is basically adding a white mask. I'm just smoothing that on out, just like so. Actually, this kind of looks better than what I had before, so I'm going to keep on rolling with this one. And what I often like to do is, if it's something that's completely symmetrical, I go to symmetry and pretty much just X symmetry. You also have more mirror symmetry settings right here, but it's gonna default this to the X one, you know. Okay. So then putting your next height, and then this noise map. And what this noise map does is essentially just you know, give it a little bit more of that metallic look, that sheen, you know. Not like a sheen, more like just scratches and shit. Next, there was another one. Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of that one. This one actually looks a little bit more pleasing. Each one. Yellow. And then what I did with this one is I basically grabbed a material that I used to use all the time, just to test what my bakes would look like. Like after I bake it, and then I want to see like what the details look like if I want to see more of them coming out, being a bit more pronounced, if you will. I use leather stylize to see what my bakes will look like. Please do not blow up. Quite lame. Okay, there we go. And while I was exploring that, I saw something cool. I saw this bass noise, right? And I just dragged it out, right? Got rid of everything else, and boom, there we go. This is basically how you make this helmet, well, at least in terms of how you texture it. And then of course the opacity, just slap that on in there. And how I got that opacity, I can show you that real quick as well. Put in a fill, go to here, type in OP, you find it like right there. Put that in there, put it into the opacity channel, and click here, turn off everything. That's how you make the opacity layer, like so. And if you want to see your opacity in Substance Painter, what you do is you gotta click on what blending material you want to use. I use this one. I forgot which one's the default, but this is what I use. And then I go to texture set settings. I click this plus, and then I plug in the opacity right there. So, and now you're able to see opacity in here, right there. And yeah, and another thing, how I basically mask these, I can show you that real quick. So I would default to this, like so. Just drag it on out. And I'm not really worrying too much because what you're seeing right here is what's underneath that, right? Underneath that folder of the mask. But then you come along with this issue right here, right? You're like, man, I gotta drag it out like this, right? And then you have this right there. So that's when you want to do like a manual white mask and just paint it yourself manually. Which is essentially what I did as well, right around here. I just go right here, and I would choose like some sort of like hard brush, the mask, paintbrush, just paint it in like so. Hit X to take away to make the white mask, just like so. And yeah, that's essentially how you go about texturing these materials for our game. So yeah, sort of realistic, sort of not. You see stylization. You also see the material being sort of realistic in certain areas. For instance, what really makes this material somewhat realistic is the noise. Let's turn off that noise, right? Turn off this noise. And that's basically super stylized. Um, Depending on how our beautiful corner looks at the end of it, and if we want to make it look more stylized, we might just take away the noise maps, hide them, export them without the noise. That's an option. But for now, we're just gonna try it with the noise as so, see how far we can take it with that. And how you would export the textures, you go File, Export Textures, put in the directory, and pretty much the default output maps for the PBR metallic roughness template. You convert these to 1 or 2K for the actual game itself. But yeah, that's pretty much how you go about texturing the helmet. And I have decided that I will do a separate video for the rock. Um, the rock itself is a little bit more stylized to this kind of look, as you can see here. Meanwhile, the helmet is a little bit more stylized towards little nightmares. And because what we're going for is essentially kind of like a combination of this and that, to get the grime look that we're going for our game. But yeah, remember, realistic forms, stylized materials, or not stylized, but semi-realistic stylized materials. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the first texture tutorial for the props. All right, bye-bye.